Hey guys, tonight we're heading back, way back, to a place where time is sticky warm and smells faintly of barley. You're waking up in ancient Babylon, where the sun hasn't fully risen, but already the heat is working its way through the narrow alleyways, pressing against clay walls and the backs of sleepy necks. You open your eyes in the hush of pre-dawn, the air heavy with the perfume of baking bread and the faint sting of last night's incense from the temple just up the hill. Somewhere nearby, a donkey yawns. Or maybe that's just your stomach. You're not a royal scribe or a priest, don't worry. That would be far too dramatic.
Jure just, Tere.
A pair of quiet feet, a set of sleepy eyes, an innocent nose following the trail of hot bread through Babylon's waking streets. The city hums in muted brown and gold, like someone brushed everything with cinnamon. You can almost taste the dust, but it's not unpleasant, just ever-present.
Some wäre abofe. Se mich die Zigurat vetches over juvis a stern gase, casting a long blue-grey shadow down across the rooftops.
And beneath that shadow, this city is already on the move. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Let me know in the comments where you're listening from and what time it is there. Are you in a big city too? Or somewhere with less barley and more air conditioning? Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together.
Jure walking. Not fast, not slow. Just a gentle trutsche over bucket mudbrick roads still cool from the night.
To your left, a boy, maybe 12, is pulling open a wooden hatch in the wall of a bakery. He grunts softly, scratches his elbow, and disappears inside, the hatch clicking shut behind him.
You keep walking.
This neighborhood smells like yeast, like heat and ash and old barley sacks. The buildings are low, flat-roofed, and the doorways are all too small for modern height expectations. No one planned this part of the city. It sort of grew like mold in every direction, and somehow the bakers ended up here. Probably because smoke bothers everyone else. Someone whistles, 2 notes.
A coal, a coat, a morning RHYTHM.
You pass another open doorway and glance inside. 2 women with flower-streaked arms are kneading dough against a table worn smooth by thousands of mornings just like this one. Here's your first historical nugget. Babylon, nestled in ancient Mesopotamia, had what we might call a full-fledged bakery district. Bread wasn't just food. It was currency, tribute, religion, punishment, and pleasure, all flattened into a single crust. There were literally dozens of named breads, flat, puffed, spiced, honeyed, and even stuffed with bits of date or fig if someone was feeling flashy. Now you might be wondering, why are we measuring time with dough? Well, here's the thing. Babylon didn't have mechanical clocks, not even clothes. They had sundials, shadow sticks, and water clocks for the fancy priests. But for the average person, especially a baker, time was measured by the rhythm of the day and the behavior of the dough. Dough told you everything. How long it rose told you the hour. How fast it cracked told you the weather. And how fragrant it got! That told you it was time to wake the neighbor and open the shop. Historians still argue whether this was an intuitive system passed down by apprenticeship or something more formalized. Some believe dough was used alongside other timekeepers like incense clocks and dripping jars. But in the bakery quarter most agree, dough didn't lie.
You stop at a corner.
A man passes by carrying an enormous wicker tray on his head, stacked with unbaked loaves under a damp cloth. He nods at you. Or at least we'll say he does. People in Babylon weren't overly friendly before their first barley cake. In the distance, a conch shell is blown from a tower. That's not symbolic. Someone actually did that. Not to mark the hour, mind you, but to tell people the temple workers needed their breakfast delivered. Which means the bakeries are shifting into high gear. You turn a corner and enter a wide street, brighter now as the sun finally peeks over the ziggurat's western edge.
You squint.
And there it is, the central bakery. Or one of them. You wouldn't know it from the outside. It's just a hole in a mud wall with smoke leaking out. But the smell is incredible. Warm grain, a bit of ash, something sour and sweet braided together.
Inside, it's almost schön.
People slapping dough into round molds. Others tending wide clay ovens sunken into the ground. A girl with a bandaged finger sits by the door, counting loaves and scratching tally marks into a bit of hardened clay. That right there is your mainstream fact. Mesopotamians recorded bakery transactions with cuneiform, one of the oldest writing systems on Earth. They used little clay tablets like sticky notes, marking down who ordered what, how much grain was used, and when it needed to be delivered. These weren't poetic sonnets. They were receipts, and the scribes hated rewriting them. But here's a quirk. Some bakers weren't literate, and so they'd measure the baking process not in words, but by feel, by smell, and by how dough responded to temperature. One theory suggests bakers knew it was the third hour, when the barley-wheat mix hit a certain texture under the heel of the palm. Sort of like it's time when your cat jumps on the table every day at 6 p.m.
Just, Bredier.
You step aside as someone rushes past with a steaming tray. It's early, but sweat already beads on foreheads. The ovens are open, glowing, and a small child waves a fan with a palm leaf to keep the ash from billowing out. A young apprentice hands you a small round loaf, probably a mistake, but you're holding it now, and it's hot and dense with a craggy top. You bite into it and try not to show the surprise. It tastes like barley, yes, but also something herbal.
Mint? Thyme?
Or some now lost Babylonian spice that doesn't even have a modern name. You sit on a stone bench just outside, loaf still warm in your hand. Behind you, the bakery pulses with sound. Smacks of dough, creaks of wood, murmurs in Sumerian, maybe a touch of Akkadian, maybe just sleepy grunts.
It's not chaotic.
It's a rhythm.
Like breathing.
And as the sun lifts higher, and the ovens roar a little louder, you begin to feel it too. The dough rising, the city waking, time stretching forward not in minutes or hours, but in crust, crumb, and the soft thump of kneading fists.